Have you ever felt like your life was too ordinary to make an extraordinary impact, or that self-doubt was louder than your own confidence? My guest today says that's exactly what you need. That's where your power lies. So welcome back to the SelfSeed Podcast. And as you know, I'm Emmanuel. I'm the host of the SelfSeed Podcast. And here we plant the seeds of growth through stories of resilience, leadership, and authentic living. Today, I'm thrilled to bring you Simone Knego, who is a TEDx speaker, and she's a best-selling author of the Extraordinary UnOrdinary You. And she's a voice that reminds us that confidence is built not in corner offices but around kitchen tables. So I hope you'll enjoy this episode, and do remember to let me know what you think about this episode. Let's get into it.
Simone, it's pretty nice to have you on the podcast, and I'm not so sure if I'm pronouncing the name right, and I just want to make sure that I don't mispronounce the name. Is it Simone Knego, or I have to pronounce the K?
You pronounce the K.
Oh,
yes.
so
Simone Knego.
Oh, Simone Knego.
Yes.
It's nice to have you, since I have somehow looked back at your journey, and I think your journey reminds us that leadership is somehow starts from within ourselves, and I think that resonates mostly with the SelfSeed Podcast. So I'm very delighted to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And to kickstart things, to break the ice, as they say. Is it to break the ice? But to break the ice, can you tell us as to what kitchen table leadership means to you? I was curious, since the pitch was sent to me about kitchen table, and I was like, okay, wait, I need to understand what is the kitchen table type of leadership.
Thank you for asking that. So we've been sold this very narrow view of what leadership is. It's the title, it's the boardroom, right? It's the corner office.
Right.
But I believe that leadership is within all of us. We just have to change the way we see ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's the messy moments, it's behind the scenes. And so many of the decisions we make happen around the kitchen table, hence kitchen table leadership, because there are so many things, every decision that we make is a leadership decision, no matter what it is, whether it has to do with your family or your work. Those are leadership decisions, but we've never been told it was leadership, so we've never thought about it that way before.
The simplest meaning I'm getting is just the reflection that as you make things, like you prepare things in the around the kitchen aspect, like literally the kitchen table, and that's us reframing it into the aspect of like that's the way leadership is. Is that right?
Yeah. So, all the discussions we've had around the kitchen table, some of our hardest discussions happen around the kitchen table. Some of our best discussions happen around the kitchen table. Those are all leadership decisions, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we do every day when we're making a decision, it's a leadership decision because it changes the way we move forward in our lives. But again, we've never been told that's leadership. So we've never seen ourselves in that light, because we're like, oh no, the leadership is for someone else, right? Leadership is the person that is in charge of us, but that's not true.
Right. And I'm also curious as to understand with the kitchen table leadership mindset, how did you come up with the title of the book, that Extraordinary UnOrdinary You? What actually inspired this? Because now I'm getting about the concept, your peculiar view of the kitchen table discussions, and you got this new title of the book, and it's what inspired actually the title of the book?
So that's my first book. It was released in 2020. I actually have another book coming out in February. But that title is really thinking about that the little things we do every day make such a difference in our lives, but we look at other people as being extraordinary. We never look at ourselves as being unique. We think we're just getting through the day, but each and every one of us are unique. Each and every one of us are extraordinary. Obviously, unordinary is a play on words. So it's the same thing. Extraordinary is unordinary. So I used to think of myself as just an ordinary girl, right? But none of us are just ordinary, because we all bring such unique views, such unique skills to the world.
I like the aspect that you say we tend to see others as like these important people. And even the aspect that it goes back to the aspect you said about the leadership, how we view leadership is like it's a thing set for some sort of people, maybe people with good, people wearing suits, people in a conference hall and all that, but leadership starts from, the moments that we have those regular discussions. We are reminded that we are extraordinary and not just others. And it's the same aspect of like compassion to yourself, having compassion to yourself and not just always outward. And within the book, you talk about the 4 principles, like the real method, I think, the real method. And that's about respect yourself, failures, and ask what you want, and then live without limits. So I'd like to know, how did you discover these principles and why do they actually matter now in our current world?
Absolutely. So yeah, more than even before. But so those principles are part of my second book, which comes out in February, which is called Real Confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. I was someone that struggled with self-doubt for many years, right? That was kind of what led my life, the things that I struggled with, instead of looking at the things that I was accomplishing, the things that I was doing that were making a difference in the world. And it took a moment of me climbing a mountain. I am not a mountain climber. I live in Florida. I have 16 steps in my house. So the idea of climbing a mountain is not something that I probably would have thought about before, but I climbed Kilimanjaro in 2015.
Oh, interesting.
And,
I'm actually from there.
Oh, really? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful country. And so that idea, how I got there, what I was able to do, the things that I had to shift to be able to accomplish something completely out of my comfort zone, because again, I'm not a climber, and that's how it started. And it goes back to the reason I started with respect yourself is that for me as a child, I was taught to respect my elders, my peers, but I don't ever remember being taught that the most important person to respect is myself. But we talk a lot about demanding respect from others, but it's really about demonstrating it. If we demonstrate respect to ourselves, that's what people are going to do, right? But if we're constantly saying, oh, you have to do this way, people don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. So that modeling piece matters. Modeling matters more than managing. So that's the self-respect piece. When we set boundaries, when we take care of ourselves, when we talk kindly to ourselves, right? Those are all things that when people see us doing that, they're going to follow suit and do the same.
Right. It's interesting. When I treat myself with a sense of value, then I'm able to showcase to others as to how they should treat me or how they should respect me. Because then, as well as you just hinted in your clarification, it's also a way that what I can project to myself is what I can do to others. And I really love that. And the way that you also talk about, like reframing these challenges that we think. And many in our community today sometimes feel that imposter syndrome, where someone belongs as to thinks that, I don't belong here, or the achievements that I get, there's a voice inside that says, well, it's just a matter of time before everything just crumbles down. And I'm curious to know, what would you say to people like this?
I call that voice the what if whisperer. So like, what if I fail? What if they find me out? Right. And we all have that voice, but it's what we do with that voice that really matters. And I don't know of one person that doesn't struggle with something, right? And that's why it's so important that we remind ourselves what we're capable of. So the idea that you got somewhere because someone else gifted it to you instead of you earned it.
Right.
You don't look at someone else and think that. So why would you think that about yourself? But that's what we do, right? We look at ourselves and say, ooh, they're going to find me out, that I don't deserve to be here. But we'll look at the person next to us and say, oh my gosh, they're so accomplished. Well, the person next to you is thinking the same thing about you. So I have a little mindset hack that I like to use when I start getting those negative thoughts. And you're too young for this, but maybe you'll know about this. So Control Alt Delete. So back in the day, it was how we would unfreeze a frozen computer. 3 keys, it restarts the computer. I use the same thing when my mind freezes. So control is about awareness, right? We have to be aware of the thoughts that are coming into our head. Are they real? Are they helpful? Most of the time, no. We're literally making up stories that make us feel bad about ourselves. The second part is alt, which is alternative. tell yourself a better story.
Right.
Instead of what if I fail? How about when I succeed? Right. And we see this all the time with professional athletes and celebrities. We see how they talk to themselves to make them help themselves move forward. I mean, there's not an athlete out there that says, oh, you're going to really suck today, let's go. No, they're not doing that. They're saying, you are going to be an Olympian. You are going to be a champion. We need to do that on a regular basis with ourselves. And the last part is delete. Delete the habits and beliefs that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game. Delete the belief that you're not enough. Delete the apology. Like we tend to do things because we think we're going to make other people happy, but we need to focus on ourselves. And if we're doing really good things in the world, that's what we need to be doing.
It's interesting how you highlighted about the concept of control, alternate, and delete. And when you say that might be young not to remember, it just two things came to my head, and that was just the function in the computer. But as well, there's a book I read, and it's called Control, Alternate, Delete, and it's talking exactly about what you're saying. Things that you can change, you can control, you have to do that, especially in this informational knowledge era. Alternate, you have to change some practices, some old things that didn't maybe worked a couple of years ago, or some things that you feel that they're drawing you back, you have to change them. And delete is actually be sure to remove anything that is not useful in this moment, that is not going to help you towards the goals that you want. But it's talking more about the media and everything. And that brings me to the aspect of, coming back to the aspect of you as a mother, you as a leader in your family. So as a mother of 6, how has your family somehow shaped your leadership? I already note that you took the concept of kitchen leadership, you being able, making decisions, having hard conversations around the kitchen table. And I'm just curious that if you can touch on that even furthermore, like you being in that space of you're a leader of these 6 people, they're looking up to you, your actions, your reactions, they're all studying about it. So
yeah, that having children really does change everything, and how you respond to things, how you show up in the world. We actually adopted our youngest 3 children, so I have a very different view of the world as well. We have our 21-year-old and our 18-year-old are from Ethiopia, and our 19-year-old is from South Korea.
Yeah.
So, we definitely see the world differently. I mean, it's a big, amazing place with amazing children, and for me, the idea of leading them, I can tell them all day long, you need to do this, right? But if I'm doing the opposite, what are they going to do, right? That's why I think that modeling piece is so important. So, I can be watching TV or scrolling on my phone, and I'll tell them, you need to read 16 books this month. You really think that's going to work, right?
Not really.
Yeah. I think I've become much more aware of how much influence we have, and that's really what leadership is. It's influence. It's not the title. And we have influence. Every one of us has influence in our little world, right? So whether it's with our family or our colleagues, that idea that the people that are around us are really shaped by the things that we do. So we need to think about that. The way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk about ourselves is so important, because that's what other people see. I didn't realize how powerful that was for a long time in terms of, especially around my children. When you're talking negatively about yourself, that's what your kids start thinking, right? That's what they start thinking about themselves. If you tell yourself all the time that you're not good enough, why is your kid going to think that they're good enough? So I think we have to really be aware of that, and that, that spills over into all aspects of our lives.
Powerful. I'm trying to recall the moments. Sometimes I would figure out that my parents had arguments, but they will try their best not to argue like extremely in front of us. And as you're explaining it, I'm just going back and rethinking how has that shaped about my reaction, even with the relationships around me and all that. It just somehow gave me that lesson of like, how did they handle? Probably at that moment, I didn't, say like this is a lesson or something, but eventually these actions or these reactions by the people around me have become like some ingrained into my life or into my DNA. And it goes the same. The way that I react towards people is the same way that others now learn on how, oh, that guy, the way he reacts, it's just somehow different. And I think you stated well that as a leader, people don't emulate your words. Like actions speak louder than words, and people don't care what you say if what you do is on the contrary to the words that you're preaching. And thank you for that, Simone. And now I just want us to try and draw the vision or the vision for all the listeners. Why do you believe like the extraordinary can be extraordinary? Like you're empowering women that feel like, oh, maybe not so much, but you're empowering them to become great leaders. So why do you actually cement that fact of like the ordinary can be the extraordinary?
I think one of the biggest things is, why is it for everybody else but not for you? Why is it for everybody else but not for me, right? Mm-hmm. So that idea that an extraordinary life is made for other people is kind of crazy when you think about it, right? Why isn't it made for us, right? Right. If we're being the best human we can be, then we are living an extraordinary life, right? And everybody's life is different, whether financially, the job you have, but you can still be living your best life. And that all comes back to mindset. It comes back to how you think about things. And I'm not saying like have toxic positivity. That's not what it is. Yeah. But it's really understanding what your reality is. And when you look at other people and say, well, they deserve this and I don't, like, that's not real, right? That is a story that you're telling yourself. So, and so important for me to help other women see, what they're capable of, and that they're all capable of being the best human they can be and not worrying about what anybody else is doing. We spend so much time watching everybody else and saying, oh, I wish I had that life. And the person that has that life might be saying, oh, I wish I had something different, right? So we're constantly trying to achieve something that's not achievable, and really focusing on what we can do. Right. And instead of what everybody else is doing is really what's so important.
Powerful. There's a way that you just rolled up the part that like the way that we think of other people is like we envy something that's far away from us, and we don't see what's within us or what we're capable of. And that goes back to that, that meme where someone has a bicycle and then envies the one with the car. Oh, I think it's coming downwards, like someone with a car envies another one with a good car, and it just goes down to the one with a bicycle envies a motorbike, but actually there's someone walking and wishes they had a bike. But yeah, that way that I think the human mind is made to compare, to always compare, like A and B, and we are always not on so much on the way. We only weigh like, oh, that person, and we leave ourselves out of the equation. And I just want to also pick one wisdom from you as on behalf of the listeners. If someone is feeling stuck or feeling small today now as they're listening to this podcast, what's the one thing that they can do right after here that, to start building an unshakable confidence?
I think one of the most important things is really paying attention to the way you talk to yourself. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend. I mean, you wouldn't say to your best friend, you suck, or you wouldn't, I mean, maybe in certain circumstances, but you would really see the best qualities in them. And that's what you would be encouraging, right? You would be very thoughtful, and we are our best friend. We have to live with ourselves forever. So why can't we treat ourselves like we would our best friend? So it's really about the way we talk to ourselves. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, look in the mirror and tell yourself what you're capable of. Don't look in the mirror and say, oh, today's really going to suck. Like I'm just not a good human. Like who wakes up and wants to do that? Wake up and tell yourself what you're capable of. And trust me, the more you say it, the more you believe it, right? You tell yourself is what your reality becomes, right? If you tell yourself all the time that you're not capable, guess what? You're never going to raise your hand, because you're going to think that you're going to believe that you're not capable. But if you're constantly telling yourself like you are working hard, you deserve this, keep going, use your voice, it's going to happen.
Powerful. Just talk to yourself positively. Just move your focus away from the negative. We can't wake up and just tell myself, oh, I am terrible. Today it's going to suck. That's a good one. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Simone. And just for people who don't know, you have a podcast, Her Unshakable Confidence, and I'm intrigued to ask about that because you do it with your daughter, and I'm curious to know how is that experience like. If you can just share with me, because I listen, I think, to maybe 1 or 2, 3 episodes, and when I was listening, I was just like, oh, that's nice. I wish I could have had someone like to have a podcast like that with. Yeah. So how was that experience as well? Like you can first introduce the podcast as well. Yeah. Before you answer even my question.
So we started the podcast a couple years ago. It's called Her Unshakable Confidence. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great learning exercise. I mean, the reason behind the name of the podcast was really to help my daughter gain confidence way earlier than I did, right? The idea of that the thought I struggled for a really long time thinking that I deserved these things, that it wasn't the imposter syndrome piece, that it wasn't because of somebody else.
Right.
And so other week we do an episode, just the two of us, and then the following week we have a guest, and we talk about the things that we struggle with, and we talk about what other ideas and what other women do in their lives. We're having a few men on now, so that'll be fun, but to really kind of showcase all the different things that women are doing in their lives to build confidence and to see what they're capable of. And it's been a great experience. I don't know of too many other shows that are a mother-daughter combination. My daughter's in law school, and it's great because sometimes she's the one giving me advice on the show. We did an episode and we were talking about anxiety, and I said, yeah, I'm not really anxious. She goes, what are you talking about? Yes, you are anxious. You are constantly anxious. She goes, your anxiety is giving me anxiety. I was like, oh, okay. Thank you so much. I didn't realize that. But so it's fun to be at a point where I'm really learning from her and not just her learning from me.
Yeah, awful. That's why I said when I listened, I was just like, oh, I wish that I was also doing it with my father or my mother as well. And get to hear those direct shots and everything, getting to learn from them by words, because most other things is learning by them saying, do that. And maybe by you observing, but then this podcast, you and your daughter, is just like with a guest having a conversation, and she can, I'm not so sure if it's the right word, she can say anything, you can say anything, but she's still mindful, respectful. And looking ahead, what really like encourages you or excites you about where your work is going so far?
So I really love speaking. I love working with women when they have that aha moment of, oh, wait, I am capable of this. Why am I listening to this voice? Why do I think it's meant for everybody else, but not for me, right? To have those moments where you see people just say, oh, yeah, I get it now. Like, am I treating myself like this? And that to me is so powerful because, again, I struggled for so long, and I don't ever look back and say, I wish I would have, but because I feel like everything I've done has brought me to this moment in time. But that idea that if I can help someone get there quicker than I did, then that's exactly what I want to be doing.
Powerful. I hope God will help you to get where you want to get and your story to reach more women, because I believe then it really empowers more. And I think that's why we are here discussing about all of this, so that you can reach one more person. I think it counts. One more person counts, yes?
Oh, it's about the one person, right? It doesn't, I mean, even your shirt, what does it say? 1% better,
yes,
right?
1%
it's
better.
It's that one more person that you can reach. You don't have to reach the entire world, right? We look at things and say, oh, it's the people that have millions of followers. That is not what matters. If you can change one life, you've changed the world. So if you can help one person, you've changed the world. And that's always my goal, is to help one person see themselves differently. Because I truly believe that we don't need to change who we are. We need to change the way we see ourselves.
Right. 1% better. Simone is taking it one break at a time, and it doesn't matter to the listener who is listening. If it inspired you, there's a way that you just feel like, oh, this person, this woman is doing great things, and so I believe you can also do great things and all that. And Simone, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And how can people actually now connect with you, get to learn about the real method? And you just hinted to me that in February you're going to have a new book coming out. And I think I'm just grateful that you came here before even the release of the book. And so you can share with the audience maybe how they can get your book and furthermore contact you, or anyhow you'd like, as I call this, the marketing yourself portion of the podcast.
Thank you. So the best way to find me is my website, SimoneKnego.com, which is SIMONEKNEGO. And my new book, you can find it at realconfidencebook.com. So it's available for pre-order, but if you pre-order it, you get the first couple of chapters that you can download right away, so you can get started. And I have a reverse interview with my daughter. So there's a bunch of bonuses on there that you get for pre-ordering. Right. And then I'm on social media. So really Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you can find me at any of those places. And I would love to hear from you. And to the podcast, Her Unshakable Confidence. I think you'll enjoy it. And there are some really funny episodes, some really powerful ones, some really funny ones too.
I agree. And I was just about to say, are you forgetting something? Are you about to forget something? But
yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Simone, for coming to the podcast. And I to the listener, if the episode somehow kindly encouraged you, if it did that part of you that has always been looking at yourself, looking down on yourself, I think you can share it with someone else so that they can hear Simone as well and hear the reminder that their ordinary is actually extraordinary. And as always, I believe that you should keep planting the seeds of growth, one story at a time. And that's until next week. Keep leading and keep sowing the seeds of the future. Thank you very much, Simone, for coming to the pod. I was about to say thank you so much for tuning the podcast, but thank you so much for coming to the podcast. And it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.